Welcome again to Cottage Talk. I am Russ Goldman. This is my preview episode of Fulham's match against Burnley. My 5 keys to victory for Fulham at Turf Moor against Burnley. This should be interesting on Saturday. I will also be sharing my thoughts on the loan signing of Armando Broja for Fulham, a striker. I have some thoughts on that, and also the fact that Carlos Vinicius is going out on loan. I'll be adding my thoughts on that as well. Much to talk about in this episode. I do want to mention, please do check out my appearance on Turfcast Podcast. You can actually watch this on YouTube. Please check it out. I did a preview with my friends over there, and I think you'll like the preview, so please check it out or listen to Turfcast Podcast on anywhere you get podcasts. Please check it out. Okay, so let's get to it. Let's start with Fulham's loan signing of Armando Broja. And on the face of it, his profile, it looks good. It looks good. This is strictly a loan for Fulham, and it has all kinds of situations that go along with how much the loan is going to be. I'm not going to bore you with the details, but I will just say they needed to bring in a striker. They got this done. Armando Broja, his profile of what he can offer might be a good fit. People can go back and look at when Alexander Mitrovic came to Fulham on loan and how that worked out. I hope this is a similar situation. I don't know. A young 22-year-old striker. What's interesting about him, he's actually a little bit taller than Mitro, so this is not a small striker. He actually is a fairly tall striker at 6'3". And I'm sure everyone's watched the highlights or has watched him play, but I have not watched him play a tremendous amount to make a judgment. But he will get plenty of rope from me to succeed because Fulham really need him to succeed. And they did the bare minimum here. This window was, for me, a huge disappointment. They had to bring someone in. They have an injury right now to Raul Jimenez. So they had to bring in a striker. They got one in. But I think it was more out of desperation than of doing what I think was the right thing, to find a replacement for Alexander Mitrovic. 2 windows. And I still don't think they have found a replacement. Armando Broja might end up being a replacement. But again, this is just a loan deal. We shall see how this all works out. We can project out over the summer when we get there. But in the meantime, they needed to get a striker in. They got it in, so I am happy about that. And I do want Armando Broja to succeed at Fulham. Let me just say that. And I hope he does. But they needed a lot more than that. They also needed, I think, a winger, maybe another center back. So they just bring in the striker. It's something. And hopefully he can make an impact with Fulham, maybe even against Burnley on Saturday. That would be fantastic. So the flip side of that is that Carlos Vinicius is now going out on loan. He wasn't playing because Rodrigo Muniz was now the second striker at this point. So I understand this. Best of luck to Carlos Vinicius. Lately, he has been a red card waiting to happen, so I'm not against the move. Best of luck to him, and we'll see how it all works out with him when he goes out on loan. There is also speculation that maybe Muniz might go out on loan as well. So all kinds of things going on with Fulham and strikers right now. But the one thing we do know that we have for sure is that Armando Broja in on loan from Chelsea, and we'll see how that goes, and best of luck to Carlos Vinicius. Okay. As always, please do subscribe on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. It does help other Fulham supporters find us. Okay. So I'm going to start by saying this. When I did the episode of Turfcast Podcast, I was feeling pretty down. I really was. And I was feeling very negative about this match. I'm not going to lie. The signing of Armando Broja has changed things for me a little bit. And I'll be sharing that in this episode. So let's get to it. Number 5. Fulham have got to press Burnley and treat them like they are Liverpool. I've said this before. And the thing about Burnley is that their track record, I've read a lot, is that they don't like to get pressed. And I'm very impressed, I will say, with the style of play that they are putting out under Vincent Kompany. And I hope they stick with Vincent Kompany. Vincent Kompany is going to play, and so is Marco Silva. So I give him credit for that. But I think Fulham can take advantage of Burnley if they can press them well. So that's why that's my number 5. I think maybe they can create an opportunity for themselves, similar to how Burnley created a couple of opportunities on Fulham mistakes the first time they met at Craven Cottage, which was not that long ago. Okay, let's move on to number 4. Fulham need to convert off of a set piece. Now, Fulham created a tremendous amount of set pieces, a lot of corners against Everton, and converted none of them. They are going to have to be better against Burnley. This is a wonderful opportunity to score off of a set piece. It's been so long. It was a strength last season. They need to convert off of a set piece, not just for this match, but also to give them confidence moving forward. I think this is a major key to a Fulham victory. Score off of a set piece, I think, would be massive. Number 3, Marco Silva needs to be brave in this match with his decisions. What I mean by that is 2 things I'm looking at. And I think actually both of them will involve the starting 11. So let's start with number 1. Number 1 involves the decision to play either Harrison Reed or Tom Kearney. I hope that Marco Silva decides to start Tom Kearney because Fulham need to have the ability to create in this situation. I think they have a wonderful opportunity. If they play Harrison Reed, they're going to be more defensive, more solid, and he'll do his running around. But I think you need to be more aggressive. So I'm hoping that he's brave in his decision and starts Tom Kearney. That's number 1. Number 2, this is a big one. Be brave, Marco. Start Armando Broja from the get-go. Now, I know there are many that are going to say there's no way he's going to do that. I would agree with that, but these are desperate times for Fulham. This is a match that could really just get them away from the relegation zone, really push them away. So for me, I hope Marco goes against the grain here and starts Armando Broja. He was training with the team on Friday today. I hope he goes with that. That would be a brave decision. Not off the bench. Start Armando Broja. That's why that's my number 3. Number 2, Fulham's left-hand side needs to dominate. Now, when Fulham have been at their best for big portions of this season, the left-hand side has been key. And we're talking Willian and Anthony Robinson. If they're doing their job in this match, then I think Fulham are going to create opportunities and potentially score a goal or 2 goals. So for me, this is very important. Those 2 players have to dominate on their side, and they have the ability to do that. So that's why that's my number 2 key to victory. Coming up is my number 1 key to victory for Fulham against Burnley, followed by my starting 11, what I think Marco's going to do, and my prediction for the match. Okay, my number 1 key to victory for Fulham is Fulham's defense cannot make any mistakes. The last time these 2 clubs played, Fulham's defense and just Fulham in general made mistakes, which led to goals for Burnley. And in one case, it wasn't even Fulham's defense. But again, they did not close down quick enough. The defense cannot make any mistakes in this match because this is the team that is looking for life. And I'm looking at 4 players. I'm looking at Ream, Tosin, and I believe it's going to be Castagna on the right and Anthony Robinson. They have to be solid. They cannot make any defense mistakes. If they can be solid and not make any of these mistakes, I think they have a chance to win this match. That's why that's my number one. It's a huge key in this match. Okay, so let's get to the starting 11. This is what I would do in this match. I would go with Leno, Castagna, Robinson, Ream, and Tosin. On the left, Willian. On the right, Bobby Decordova-Reid. In the middle, this is where it gets interesting. I personally would go with Paulinho, Kearney, Pereira. And then up front, I'm going with Armando Broja. That's what I would do. This is what I think Marco's going to do. I actually think he's going to go Leno, Tete, Robinson, Ream, Tosin, Willian on the left, Bobby Decordova-Reid on the right. In the middle, I actually think he's going to do this. I think he's going to go with Paulinho, Harrison Reed, Pereira, and I think he'll go Rodrigo Muniz up front. If he does that, I think it's going to make things harder on Fulham. I want them to be more aggressive. That's what I think Marco's going to do. I'm going more aggressive. And to end the show, I'm going to give you my predictions. So on the Turfcast podcast, I predicted 1-1. And that was yesterday. That was before the signing of Armando Broja. But you know what? I'm going to stick with my prediction. I'm not going to change it. I'm going to stick with a 1-1 draw. Fulham need to get something from this match. They actually really need all 3 points. But with everything going on, with all the injuries that they have, I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. That's not good enough. And a loss would really be terrible. Think about it. To lose both matches to Burnley, that to me would be very bad. But we shall see what happens at Turf Moor. All Fulham supporters know that Fulham's record at Turf Moor is horrendous. I don't think they've won since the 50s. But you know what? Throw the records out. Different manager, different club. Let's go and get all 3 points. But I can't predict it. I'm predicting 1-1. Okay. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. As I mentioned at the beginning of the show, please do check out my appearance on the Turfcast Podcast. You can listen to it wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also watch it on YouTube under Turfcast. Please just check that out, and the preview episode will show up. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Cottage Talk. My name is Russ Goldman. Thank you as always for watching and listening to Cottage Talk, part of the talkSPORT Fan Network.